Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to AskGolfNut channel and welcome to Takomo IGNIS D1. I'm not entirely certain what IGNIS is. Again, comment below if you know what the IGNIS thing is. But D1, driver, one, their first one. Head cover wise, standard, normal, relatively thin leather feel and a nice winter mitt on the inside because it's quite nice and soft. Tech-wise for the IGNIS D1, there's a few different things we need to talk about. One of them is the shaft option. So this is a £299 driver. This is not an expensive driver when you compare it to some other brands which charge, well, shall we say twice the amount. They'll be interesting to see if this is half as good. But the shaft, we have the Ventus, is not the full-on premium Ventus shaft, but it is Ventus enough. We have the Ventus 5S in my hands, the blue. They also do offer the red as well. We have variable face thickness on the front of this golf club, which is an interesting one because we are talking about variable face thickness, generally speaking, costs a lot of money to produce, and a £299 driver having variable face thickness is very, very good. We will be testing that variable face thickness out in our heat maps. I'll be hitting it all over the face, see how well it does at keeping ball speed up and also distance when you don't hit the middle. Out of the middle it goes a certain distance, and when you wander around the face, how close can it get to hitting that same distance? If at first you saw the sole of this golf club, you would have thought you're actually got a PXG in your hands. We have ports everywhere. Not only do we have an adjustable loft sleeve that can move around your loft and also lie slightly as well, we do have those adjustable weight ports. Now those weight ports have 2 3-gram weights in the toe and the heel and has a standard 8-gram weight in the back. It does come with a 13-gram weight in the box and a little kind of sachet. The only thing I would say to Takomo, please, if you're going to give weights out, which is a great idea so you can change the weight distribution of the head, if you could add another 8-gram weight in there, so you've got 2 8-gram weights and 1 13, that allows someone to take these 3 out and put 2 8-gram weights in the front and a 13 in the back to make the head a little bit heavier, because this is a fairly light head. I think it's about 188 grams in its current weight configuration. Yes, if you add the 13 in the back, that then goes up to another 5, but I would like to add another 5 to it if I could do by swapping out these 3s with 2 8s. That kind of idea, up the weight if we can, because this is fairly light. We have a carbon top, as you can hear, very much so carbon, but we do have a steel composite chassis, so we are trying to weight save the best we can do. We are at a hole, exactly the same hole as the Vice drivers, just for fun to see how well this one works. 290 or so yards to the pin. I will be swinging at 105 or so miles an hour. I'm trying to dial down the swing speed to try and protect the old knee. We are soon going into silly season where every manufacturer is going to be releasing everything, and so I need to try and keep my body in a position where I can do the reviews without it breaking. You can definitely see the carbon weave through the top of the crown. It's a little bit less, shall we say, in the way of visually distinctive as the 2 Vice drivers that I've literally just done, but different manufacturers choose a different option, and this is going for a little bit more of the sleek. I really like the sole. The ports are, people are going to like the ports, they're not going to like the ports, they will like the ports, everyone's got a different opinion, but I really do like the design of the IGNIS D1. Takomo have really taken some kind of idea of the Titleist drivers, how sleek, slender and quite quiet they are, and have made it a very, very adjustable idea, but keeping it looking really quite nice. Right, let's go give this one a whack. Steel composite, carbon crown. Let's see how it does. That's not the greatest start. It is curving back, saved by the strike, I think, more than anything else. That's actually doing really quite well. Club head speed 105.3 miles an hour, club path 1.4 from the inside and face closed by 1 degree, so it should have given that little baby draw back to target. 10mm toe, 8mm high, as you can see, not the greatest of strikes at all. Launch is pretty good though with that strike, having a little bit of twist with a little bit of launch, a little bit of lower spin. We look at 2-1 spin as well, so 15 degrees of launch, 2-1 spin, that's 264 yards of carry and 286 yards total. And offline, 1.8 yards. So the amount of gear effect that this gave, considering With my dynamics, it should have gone out to the right and then drew very slightly. May have gone fractionally overdraw if it had been right out the middle, but every golf club, when it comes to a driver, has got roll and bulge, and there's a certain amount of when you don't hit the middle, it sets out a certain direction and then curves back. So within a very small amount, done a perfectly good job. Can't really say how it feels, because obviously that is nowhere near middle, and there was quite a bit of twisting going on. Now, with this golf club being as light as it is, the chances are there will be quite a lot of twisting going on, and it'd be really interesting if I could have another few, I don't know, 8-gram weights or so I could round the 2 8-gram weights in the front and then one 13-gram weight at the back to heaven the old head up a little bit, give it a bit more stability, possibly get more efficiency out of it as well. Heavier mass, ball still weighs the same amount, heavier mass means there'll be more ball speed the other end, but again, can you swing it as fast when it's heavier on the other end? 105 miles an hour, wasn't bad though. Does feel, the sound of it is, it's quieter than I was expecting. Come on, am I gonna hit the green? Yay, on. Club head speed, 106.4 miles an hour. Club path, 0.4 from the inside, face 0.6 closed. Little baby, tiny draw dynamics. 11 mil toe, 5 mil high, not the greatest of strikes. However, 12 degrees of launch, 2-1 spin. Can't complain at all. 265 yards of carry, 289 yards of total distance, and it rolled onto the front edge, 2 yards offline. Peak height is 30 yards in the air and descent angles at 35 degrees. That's really going to chase forward. Feels really quite good. Softer than I was expecting, softer, just a duller sound. I was expecting it being a steel composite and obviously that carbon, have a little bit more ting to it, but it's actually quite carbon-y sound. Even though it's steel construction frame, it sounds more carbon than it does steel. Now, I haven't hit the green yet. In my other 2 videos, I got very, very close. This is the first time I've hit the green. Well done, Ignis, whatever Ignis means. Anyone, comment below what Ignis means. Haven't got a clue. I've got the idea of D1, like driver, first generation, but what does Ignis mean? I mean, that is not a bad shot. It's just very, very, very small fairway. Club head speed 108.4 miles an hour. I really need to slow down if I can do. Club path is 0.0 and then face to path is 0.3, so very, very good. It's just the strike. I am having the toe days today. Don't worry, when it comes to the full-on number side, I'll be hitting all over the face, and I'll be hitting a lot more than I am now, trying to hit a better part of the face to get and understand how good it works. So 17 mil toe, 6 mil high, I think everyone agree is not good at all. Yeah, that's still going carry 266, 286 in total, and only 11 yards offline. This is a really, really, really small fairway. And so that's still doing amazingly well, considering that, from a strike point of view, is terrible. That is me, not the golf club. Well, what it is doing is showing you just how good this golf club is when you don't hit middle. And that's very, very, very toey. Very toey. Let's see if I can do a little bit better job of not hitting the toe, shall we? It's just, it's doing everything you expect of it. It really is. I've got to be careful of the speed because I'm 108 nearly, I just seen down there. 107.6, yeah, rounded to 108. Club path, 0.9 from the inside and face to path, 0.2 closed. That's pretty darn okay. 4 mil toe, 9 mil high, much better strike, much closer to where I really want it to be. We're launching at nearly 14 degrees, spinning at 2.2, so a nice healthy amount of spin. Carrying 267, again, very close to the same amount of average that we're hitting, and 290 total distance. And if that had been straight, it would have been on again. But it's offline by not quite 13 yards, 12.9 yards. Again, if you were hitting that down the fairway, you would be absolutely happy with it. It's just here that we have a very, very small fairway. Feels really nice. I quite like it. I mean, it's one of the nicest feeling drivers I've hit in a long while. I like it. Decent shaft, premium option there. I've got a Lambkin grip. Probably prefer something different than Lambkin grip. Nothing against Lambkin grips. It's just not necessarily my preference. And I'd like to have a heavier weight in the head. But again, all that is the 13 gram that they have in the little sachet that you get with the driver head. if they could just put an 8 gram in there as well, you'd have all the options necessary to do whatever you wanted. Right, last one. Let's see if we can get on the green. Oh, I hit it low on the face. I tried to launch it as well. Shouldn't do for the knee, but it actually might get up there. Oh, easily. What a difference adding a bit of swing speed makes. Clubhead speed 111.5 as I dial it up a little bit too much, and I shouldn't do. Club path is 0.0, face to path is 0.9, little baby draw dynamics, 8mm toe, 4mm low, so still slightly toey, but this time slightly low, but still doing well. We are looking at launching at 10 degrees with a slightly lower strike and 2,631 RPM of spin. That's what happens when you hit it slightly low, just gearing up a fraction. But carry, 270 yards, total distance 292, as you can see, on the green, offline, 7 yards offline. Ignis D1, I like it. It sounds nice, feels nice, looks nice, performs pretty decent as well. Let's go hit it at 3 different swing speeds, 80, 95, 110 miles an hour, because a lot of different golfers at a lot of different swing speeds are potentially going to be putting this in the bag. Let's see how it works at 3 different swing speeds. Let's also go see how it works when you don't hit the middle. I've hit a lot of middle today, so I'm gonna have to hit a lot more shots to try and get some information from the middle to see how well this does. Let's go straight into the efficiency heat map so we can see how well this driver does at keeping ball speed up across the face when you don't hit the middle. If you haven't seen these before, these are a representation of the face. You're looking at it as though it's face on. So you've got -30 on the left-hand side, that is the toe. You've got +30 on the right-hand side, that is the heel, and you've also got high and also low. And of course you can see by the grid when you're looking at 0 and then minus numbers, how much ball speed in percent do you lose every millimetre you move across the face. Now, generally speaking, modern day drivers are extremely good at keeping ball speed up across the face. That is how they are marketed. Now, if a driver worked like this, it would be one of the best drivers out there, because there's a darn lot of green on there. There are some drivers that have near enough all green on there. However, this is not how you measure a driver. Because an iron has a flat face, efficiency is by far the most important thing, because the consistency of ball speed across the face means consistency of distance. When you're looking at a driver, fairway or even hybrid with a roll and bulge face, a curved face, because of there's launch differences and there's spin differences, it's the distance factor map is the most important thing, because the distance factor map is a map of how good the golf club is at keeping distance up across the face. We'll have a look at that one. Gone as all green, and it has been replaced by a little bit of red, a little bit of orange, some yellow, and we have a blue in there as well. The great thing with the distance factor map, this is a measurement of what it does out of the middle. So you go from a middle via 0, and then it maps the distance across the face. So generally speaking, when it comes to certain golf clubs, there is a middle, which is obviously the most efficient, but there is, for better ball dynamics, there's a part of the face where you could argue it's like a hot spot. Not a hot spot in speed, but a hot spot when it comes to ball dynamics. So this being slightly high toe, you can see it actually gains 2% of distance from the middle when you hit it around, what's that, 9mm toe, 6mm high is the butter zone on this golf club when it comes to maximising launch, when it comes to obviously a curved face, and also reducing spin as well, because you're going to get that slight difference in gear effect when you don't hit the middle. When you hit high in the face, you're going to get a higher launch or lower spin. Hit low on the face, you're going to hit lower launch but higher spin. Toes and heels also change spin as well, and you can see that's where the butter zone in this driver. But you can move all the way around to sort of 30mm across the toe, which is a big old miss, and you are losing about 4 to 5% of your distance. 30mm away laterally across the face on the toe section, and no different if you go all the way to the heel. That's a long miss, 60mm across the face, but you're looking at 6% drop. So it's slightly worse off the heel than it is the toe, but as you can see, it's a rather big green area on this golf club, so it is doing rather well at keeping that distance up from weird and wonderful parts. Let's go have a look at the 3 different swing speeds now. I've got the 80, 95, 110 miles an hour information on the screen. Got the trajectories on there so you can see them. You can see this has got a slight fade bias to this driver under certain conditions. I'll explain that in the advanced data in a sec. But if you look at the 80 mile an hour, the blue, you're going ball speed 115 miles an hour. Let's round it up. You've got launch at 12.4. This information is all at 16 degrees delivered loft. This is a 10.5 degree lofted head, but I add loft through delivery, and I'm hitting up about 4.5 degrees. That's my normal delivery. delivery. So we're launching at 12.4, spinning at nearly 2,000. Remember, this is at 80 miles an hour. Generally speaking, when you're swinging as slow as 80 miles an hour with a driver, spin is a problem, as in you don't generate enough spin a lot of the time to get the golf ball up in the air. And so you have to start increasing the loft of the drivers. Now, this is obviously 10.5 degrees. You have got a loft sleeve, and it will move the loft up if you need. And I would say at 12.4 degrees for an 80 mile an hour swing at a spin of 1967, I would suggest for a little bit of wiggle room, shall we say, when we have a miss hit, getting that loft and putting it up is a rather good idea. Carries at 163 yards, peak up is 14 yards, which is not high whatsoever, and descent angle is 26.6, so when it does hit the ground, that is going to bounce and run, because it is rather shallow. Offline is 4 yards off to the right hand side. It is slightly fade bias, this driver. When you deliver 0 path, 0 face, 0 strike, 0 lie, everything is 0. Basically, if you're a robot and hit everything at 0, what does the golf club have the propensity to do? Fade or draw bias, and it's fading 4 yards. Hardly anything whatsoever. If you go to 95 miles an hour, ball speed now goes up to 136 miles an hour. Launches at 12.4, hasn't changed whatsoever, because if you just change speed, it will not change the launch conditions as such from the point of view of the launch angle. It would just change speed from a ball speed point of view, and also the spin rate as well, because speed and spin are related. So you're looking at a carry of a 217 yard, spins at 2,335, which is a much better from a 95 mile an hour swing speed. At 2.3, you have a little bit of room if you miss hit the golf ball. So if you hit high in the face, going back to the heat maps that we saw there, when I hit it at my normal speed, that kind of, was it 9 mil toe, 6 mil high was the butter zone. We gained 2% of distance. Now, of course, that's at my normal speed. Now, when you're looking at that kind of speed, you're looking at launching it slightly higher and spinning it slightly less. And of course, when you're starting to swing faster, you increase spin. So you're having that little bit of gearing. That's where it comes from. So if you are going to miss at 95 miles an hour, 2.3 spin is a very good number. So it does give you a little bit of wiggle room if you do get that slightly drop off of spin. You're not going to basically get to a situation like you could do with the 80 miles an hour, is you don't have enough spin to keep the ball in the air, and you kind of duck out of the sky. Now, of course, 80 mile an hour is only carrying 163, because that's what 80 mile an hour swings do. However, that could be falling out the sky way before that if you go get those high toe misses that drop the spin off. Peak up is peak and height is at 23 yards, descent angles at 34 degrees, still under 40 degrees, so it's going to hit the ground and bounce and roll. Offline is now up to 6 yards with that slight fade bias. Again, 6 yards at 217 yards of carry is hardly anything whatsoever. Go to 110 miles an hour, ball speed's up at 157.5, 157.4 miles an hour, launching at 12.4, again, no difference, but spins now up at 2,700. Carries at 261 yards, peak up is at 37 yards in the air, and descent angles at 42.6. So as soon as you start adding some speed, 110 mile an hour of swing speed, we do start seeing a bit of an issue when it comes to spin. Spin's now at 2.7, it's a little bit too much, shall we say. Now, of course, on this Ignis D1, we do have the option of having those weights at the bottom, and the weights potential is amazingly good. It does come shipped with a 8 gram, a 3 gram, and a 3 gram. So 8 grams at the back and a 3 and a 3s on the toe and the heel. It does come packed with a little kind of sachet, little packet here with a 13 gram weight. But what I would like Takomo to do, if they could, would be add a few more. So if we could have another 13 gram and another 8 gram in these, and of course I know these are expensive to a certain extent, and the driver only costs £299, which is rather cheap. Budget, can't call it cheap, bad for marketing. It doesn't sound very good, but it is. It's a very focused on the budget side of things. It's amazingly good value. But if we could just add a few more weights in there, say another 8 gram and a 13 gram, it enables then the head to have a little bit more versatility. At the moment, we can only basically take the 8 gram out of the back and then replace it with the 13. You're looking at, with the 2-3 grams and the 8 gram in the back in its standard normal amount, the head only weighs 188 grams. So taking out the 8 and putting the 13 in there, that would then add another 5 grams. It would then obviously take to 193. What I would like to do though, if they could add another 8 gram weight in there, we could effectively take out the 2-3 grams, replace them with the 8 grams and the 13. We can get up to a 203 grams, a much more of a normal 200 gram head weight, but we then have some movability, we have some flexibility in the head, so we can start moving those weights around to make it a little bit more draw bias or fade bias, or a little bit more efficiency bias when it comes to a little bit heavier head mass by creating a little bit more weight in the head, give you a little bit more stability. And so we'll have a look at the advanced data gauges now. All this information is available on my website, www.askgolfnut.com, where we have a growing database on the driver. We have 100 or so irons now on the driver database. Again, the driver database is a little bit more immature, shall we say, in it, or infancy, shall we say, in its development compared to the iron database. But we do have silly season just around the corner, and of course, every manufacturer and his dog will be releasing their new versions, and of course, all that information will be up on the website for the website members to view and compare. So let's have a look at how well this driver does in different categories when it comes to its distance factor, launch factor, etc. And I'll explain how they go on. So distance factor is basically a measure of its potential distance. Now, when you've got face speed, you've got launch factor, and also face spin rate, they are the biggest denominators when it comes to how distance inspired this driver is. So we are looking on average to short. The reason is it's got a decent launch factor. You can see there. This is all loft for loft adjusted when it comes to launch factor and face spin rate, etc. So when you're talking about loft for loft adjusted, it basically means if you were to nullify any differences, everything is delivered exactly the same, and you're just measuring how one golf club launches the golf ball for whatever delivered loft you deliver. So 16.5 degrees for me is my average delivered loft, and how well it does at launching the golf ball. Different golfers will launch the golf ball differently because they deliver loft differently, but when you're looking at different heads, they do have a propensity to launch the golf ball and spin the golf ball differently. Again, that's the difference when it comes to the designs of the head and how they will suit individual golfers. But this has got an average launch factor. This is not either good or bad. If you're a golfer that needs a little bit more in the way of help when it comes to launch factor, different golf clubs will launch differently, and of course no different to face spin rate. Face spin rate is, again, whatever you deliver, whatever dynamic loft you deliver, everything is loft for loft adjusted, and it is a fairly high spinning driver. Now that is a very, very good thing, going back to the 80 miles an hour for a slow swing speed golfer. You need that spin to keep the golf ball up in the air. You need the lift from the backspin to try and keep the golf ball in the air. So much is said about trying to take spin off, get those bomb balls out there, where unfortunately a lot of golfers don't have enough spin on their golf ball, and they actually see the golf ball basically just duck out of the air. And of course, if you're going to be doing that, you're going to be losing a lot of distance in carry, and worrying about trying to get your spin down, etc., is actually harming your distance. Vertical spin change is a measure of how much spin is changed when you move vertically across the face. So you've got your face spin rate out of the middle, and then when you hit high and low on the face as a vertical miss, how much are we seeing that vertical spin change in the flight of the golf ball? Now, of course, the holy grail of a driver would be a very, very low vertical spin change and a very, very low spin axis change, so left to right curvature. But there's always a case of robbing Peter to pay Paul to a certain extent. But if you look at the vertical spin change of this driver, it is in the low sector, and that's very, very stable for a golf club to maintain only 2.1% of its spin rate difference every millimeter you move vertically on the face. So it's doing rather well. If you go to the spin axis change, that is the curvature left and right. And of course, when you move laterally across the face, toe and heel, how much are you seeing that golf ball curve because of the fact that we move laterally across the face? And it's in the medium, it's in the high medium. So we are talking about 0.73 of a degree of tilt axis curvature to the golf ball every millimeter you move laterally across the face. And so if you are a misser of the golf ball in a certain spot, say toe and heel, you move laterally across the face, you are going to want a driver which is very stable. You don't want to see a driver which has huge amount of curvature. However, if you are a vertical misser and you move up and down in your miss, then having also a driver that moves into the lower section of its curvature, because you want that stable flight. So this one would be much more stable from its vertical curvature than it necessarily is from its left and right, but it's not bad whatsoever. It's in the medium. It's not a high curving driver at all. And you can see the bias. It's 4 degrees fade bias when you hit it out of the middle. Now this is with face 0, path 0, strike 0, lie 0. Everything is like absolutely perfect out of the middle, and it has a 4 degrees tilt axis to the right hand side, going back to 3 different swing speeds when you saw the golf ball tailor off to the right hand side. Going back again to the lie angle, most golfers have a lie angle on their driver which is toe up. Not every golfer delivers a driver that way, so you've got to be aware of how you personally deliver the driver. So if you are someone who delivers massively toe up because you're shorter or you deliver low handle, then this fade bias driver from a 0 point of view will absolutely be a little bit more in the way, shall we say, of draw. And when you go to the other side and you've got someone who has a very high handle and delivers very much so toe toe level, or at least sometimes toe down, this could be a quite fade bias driver. But again, that is all down to the fitting and all down to different golf clubs. Different drivers have a propensity to draw fade or be a bit more neutral, so you have to get one fitted to what you need. Hope you liked the video. If you did, go and give it a big old thumbs up, hit that like button. YouTube likes so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free. It is great for the channel if you could subscribe, so thank you. Next to that one is a bell icon. It's a notification bell. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.